Hey Zeppeliners, this is Dennison again, developer advocate at Zeppelin, coming to you from Buenos Aires, the headquarters of Zeppelin. It's extremely hot today. It's like crazy humid. It's middle of January, it's summertime, so bear with me if I'm just like totally sweating here because it's hot. Today, one of the things I want to talk to you about, or at least in this video, is EVM packages, right? So EVM packages. So what EVM packages are, EVM packages are to Ethereum like NPM is to Node, right? It's a package manager. It's a way of doing package management. It's a way of creating code that you can then share with others and allowing others to reuse your code. The magic about EVM packages, unlike NPM, is this actually lets us do it on chain, right? That means we are creating things that we code, we develop, we create, and we share with others, but directly on chain. So why is this an important thing? Like, what makes a big difference here? So with NPM, we're all familiar with NPM. They have billions of downloads, probably per month, right? It's incredibly successful. But we don't have this with Ethereum yet. Enter EVM packages. What we're doing is we're allowing you to do the same thing, but we're adding an extra layer of security to it. When you are installing from NPM, you're just downloading from the NPM repository, and that's great. That's fine. That works wonderful, and I use it all the time, and I think everybody we know uses it all the time. But how can we improve upon that for Ethereum, right? Because when we're using code in Ethereum, when we're deploying to the blockchain, we have some other considerations that we have to take into account, right? We have security, and we have cost, right? With NPM, you could just download a package and start using it in your code. With Solidity, when you're deploying the blockchain, you have to pay for this code to go on chain, right? Like, you have to pay every time you deploy a contract. And depending on the state of the network and where you're deploying, that can be really expensive. So what we offer with EVM packages, what you can do with EVM packages that are so special, is that using Zeppelin OS, when you publish, you actually publish your logic contract to the blockchain, right? So it actually goes onto the Ethereum network, and now when other people want to use or reuse your code, all they have to do is they use Zeppelin OS to link to those packages, right? So if you watched my other tutorial about, not tutorial, but my other video about transparent proxies, you saw a little diagram that looks something like this, right? Proxy pointing to logic, right? So think of this as your EVM package. EVM package is a bit more than that, but think of it like that for a minute. So you have a proxy, and that is the address that you use to communicate to your contract, which is the logic. But of course, your variables, your storage, everything stays in here because using delegate call, we call into the logic using the context of this. So we're always using this context. So all those variables, like if you have an ERC20 token and you're incrementing the balance of the user, that balance is stored in a mapping, not in the logic contract, but it's stored on the blockchain inside the proxy contract, or it's in the context of the proxy, right? So what that means is every proxy, even if they call the same, let's call it P2, P3, right? Okay, one index. It should have been maybe 0 index because we're in programming land. So here, if you have more proxies, right? They each have their own address. They're all calling the same logic contract, but the logic contract is always interacting with the storage, variables, memory, in the context of the proxy, right? The contract that calls into it. That means that if this is an ERC20 token, right, contract, each one of these proxies has their own instance of it, right? Because they keep track of their own memory and storage here. So that means that this proxy, they don't have to deploy this contract. All they have to do is link to this contract to have their very own ERC20 token, right? So when you're using the Zeppelin OS system and you link to packages on chain, for example, ERC20. By the way, we have this deployed in Zeppelin OS. You can link into, I'll put the information below how you link to it, but we already have an ERC20, ERC721. These are already on chain, so you can link to them today. But that means an unlimited number of people can link to it, launch a token, and all they're doing is paying the gas to launch a proxy, which is very small. Compared to the size of these contracts, the cost for deploying a proxy is very low. But also you get an added benefit, which is security, right? So what do I mean by this? Well, with security, in this case, if you have developers, if you're hiring developers, if you have an external dev team, or you have a very large team, and everyone's sort of working on like a shared code base, using EVM packages, you know that if your developers, or if you are working on a project or whatever, if you are working on something and you link to an ERC20 token contract, if you link to the Open Zeppelin version that is on the blockchain already, you know for sure you are getting the latest, secure, audited code, right? There's no chance for bugs. When you're writing code, sometimes you're importing, you're adding functions. That's great, but you might maybe make a mistake. You might change something in the code when you're working on it. With that, you don't have to worry about that. You know this base is secure, right? So that's the security aspect of it, right? And this then now allows us to do kind of incredible things. Think of all the projects that you've been building where you had to build custom tools to enable your contract to do things, right? Maybe serializing strings. Maybe you have sets of numbers, special functions that you need to put on chain. Maybe you have some types of bonding curves or token curated registries. These type of things that you might be building from scratch, right, each time. Well, with EVM packages, you can build that component, right? You can create a contract built out of components, and you can deploy that on chain as an EVM package. That means that now, going forward, when you're building code, you can have a contract, assume that's a contract, right? Contract. And you can actually link into other EVM packages, on-chain code, to build up your contract, right? So you can link all these things together. So think of it like NPM for Ethereum, for the Ethereum blockchain, right? Now you have the ability to just pull in an ERC20, you can pull in an ERC721, you can create a new type of bonding curve and you can share it with everyone. You could do really amazing things. And for current developers, and especially upcoming developers who are looking at the blockchain, looking to work on Ethereum, this is really going to be, in my opinion, a game changer in how we share and reuse code. Just as NPM really led to an explosion of development in the JavaScript ecosystem, here at Zeppelin, we're really looking at EVM packages leading to that same sort of explosion of on-chain abilities of linking and reusing code. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm Dennison Bertram on Twitter. You can reach us on our official Telegram. I'll have the link to that below. We have a discourse forum as well. And basically, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. We love talking about this stuff. We love evangelizing this stuff. And if you're really interested, we really want people developing EVM packages as well. So feel free to reach out about that as well. And yeah, basically that's all for EVM packages.